Throughout making our music video, we constantly referred back to audience feedback and asked our fellow students throughout for their advice and what they thought of like rough cut copies of our video and different things like that. Before we started, we established our target audience, which we decided was young adults, female or male, that appreciate the indie genre. And before making our video, we asked our audience, like our fellow students, what conventions they thought went with the indie genre, and they came up with stuff like quirky imagery, rhythmic editing and vibrant colours, so we made sure we used them throughout our music video. Once we'd done this, we then pitched our whole idea to our class.
We pitched our idea to our fellow students, which in this case was our audience feedback, in which we showed our performance, stop motion, narrative and the use of Barbie, which was in the use of the stop motion. Our audience feedback gave us both positive comments and negative comments. Our indie genre had matched our decision. We also produced a quirky imagery which targeted our chosen target audience, which was the teenager audience. We also received negative comments in which beforehand we had decided to use a black and white imagery. However, we were told not to by our target audience as it didn't match the other camera shots taken. We also were told that because we'd used the Barbie, they had told us to make it look purposely fake instead of making the Barbie look realistic.
During our filming, we hadn't quite finished yet, but we just showed a few of our friends and the teachers what we'd got, and we were told that we would need to refilm a few shots because the lighting wasn't quite as effective as it could be, and neither was the camera angles. So we went back and filmed them, and from that we kind of learned how important the lighting is and how important the camera angles are to create a professional look. And when we got our rough cut stage, we realised that there were a few little mistakes that we'd made that we could just fine tune with colour correction and fade-ins and fade-outs to make it look more continuous and to help the rhythmic editing stay on the beat of the music. Like we decided that we needed faster paced shots instead of long paced shots.
We showed our ancillary product to our audience, which in this case was our fellow students. Our audience feedback was majorly positive. They had commented on our good use of conventions, in which we had used Andrew Goodwin's convention theories of a music video. We learnt that we needed to make more time to think about the image that we actually wanted to use, because in the first place we had used a different image to which we had actually changed, which gave us a different image to end with. We chose our final picture because it was more vibrant and it looked more engaging, as Sam is looking at the camera, in which he's holding a light bulb, which would be a good use of symbolising the use of him holding a microphone, which relates to the music industry.
We finally achieved a final cut that we were really proud of, and we show it as a screening to the rest of our classmates. We had positive feedback and a few negative feedback, which meant we needed to change a tiny little thing. But on the whole, there was great improvements made from our rough cut, and the audience feedback was really good. In this, we included more rhythmic editing, a lot more colour correction, and we'd also gone back and refilmed the studio scene to enhance the sense, to create a real star image.
After we'd finished our final music video, we done a final questionnaire which included questions. Well, how many students were there? There was like 20 students, and the questions were stuff like how effective was our use of conventions, how well did we use Goodwin's theory, how well did it match to the indie genre, things like that. And our average score was 9 out of 10 for all the questions. But then we realised, we looked back over the music video and we figured out what we could have done if we had the time. So we decided that we could have refilmed the box scene with Sam lip syncing. However, we didn't really have the time, and by colour correction we made it look better anyway. So if we had more time, we'd do more lyrics on the screen, because we think that would really, well, look really professional throughout, however we didn't have the time to really do it. And a little thing, we could have used a different clock to enhance the mise-en-scene and make it a little bit better, as we could have got a vintage one to make it match the genre. As well, we could have used the same lighting throughout. That's the only thing that we could have really improved on, to make it look more continuous and to have a professional look. But the variety looks good anyway. So nevertheless, we learnt loads throughout the process as a result of audience feedback, and we took everything on board and improved our video, so we learned a lot.